You go through some of the really tough questions, right? That every, I think, Christian has, and it's always why does God allow terrible things to happen? These things are on the minds of Christians and atheists alike, trying to figure these big questions out, and you kind of go through it in an entertaining way.
Well, I do, and it's important to ask those questions and to seek the answers, because I think by not asking them, a lot of Christians have lost confidence in what they believe. A lot of Christian churches don't even teach that the Bible is true anymore, and of course we teach in our schools that we're accidents of an evolutionary process, and expect them to believe in biblical ideas. But the bridge for me, as someone who's been in politics for 20 years, is this country was built on the idea that our rights come from God. If we don't believe there's a God, if we don't believe the Bible is true, that He really did create us for a purpose, and that if we don't believe all that stuff, then we have no confidence. And I just see on the left, they're trying to make government our God. They're doing everything they can, not only anti-American, but anti-God, because God is a competing authority. And we're not going to go out and give up our rights if we believe they came from God, but we will if we think they came from government.
Yeah, I think you're seeing this play out, for example, in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial right now, where it seems like the media thinks, well, the government said X, Y, and Z, you're not allowed to do these things. It's like, these rights do not come from Kenosha.
No, they don't, and he didn't do most of the things the media said he did anyway. I don't think they found any place he broke the law. No. He did what I've said before on several interviews. It might have been bad judgment if we look at it from the outside, but there were millions of us looking in at that city burning and say, why didn't somebody do something about it? Well, he did something about it. He went out there and I think he just hoped by standing there and that it would help keep some buildings from burning. But it turned out that they were trying to get rid of him.
Well, I was thinking this, like, I do want people to go and stand up for our rights. I have a 10-year-old son. In 7 years, I don't want it to be him.
I don't want to see my grandchildren or children holding a rifle at some kind of demonstration. But it may come to that if we don't fight the fight where we have it, like at school board meetings now, getting people elected, fixing our election system. There are too many of us who have been sitting on the sidelines. There are too many who don't even vote, who are not informed enough. And I think what we saw happen in Virginia is the Democrats made the wrong people mad. They made moms mad. And you tell mom you don't have any say in what your children learn. They got mad. And that's what I saw last night when we had a meeting here in Dallas of parents who wanted to change their school board and been told, patted on the heads and say, you just participate in PTA, but don't be telling us what to do. They were exercised. And that gets me excited. It feels a little like the Tea Party did, where all kinds of people were just saying, this is enough. What are these bailouts? Why are we doing the national health care thing? And it wasn't Republican or Democrat. It was just, this government's out of control. And I think people feel that now.
Well, I want to make sure the audience knows this story. This is a story that we didn't know for many, many years, which was after the Restoring Honor rally in 2010. The Senate meets on, was the next Tuesday, I think it was, and they go through this entire thing. We have 500,000 people, activists, people who care about every issue Republicans are supposedly caring about, and Jim DeMint is the only person, the only Republican who stood up for the people who were there. The only one. And this we found out not from you, Senator DeMint, many, many years past. We found out in the Tim Alberta book that came out, I think, in 2019. So for 9 years, you never told us that story. That story came out. We did confirm it with you last time you were on. And that is something I think that there's a real problem at the core of the Republican establishment, that they don't see these things as positive.
No, I was sitting there in the meeting the whole time. I think I was just vibrating because I think there were more like 1 million people there. I mean, I was the only senator asked to speak. And I stood up and looked out, and of course, the people were all the way down the mall, but they were all the way out the sides. And they were regular people. I'd been mingling all day. They were Republicans and Democrats, and a lot of people said, I've never done anything like this before. They just cared about our country, not themselves. But I sat in this Republican meeting. They went through this whole agenda on Tuesday, the day we got back, and not one thing was mentioned, that there were 1 million people who agreed with everything we said we believe is public, who came to the Capitol to support those ideas that we cared about. And I just stood up at the end and said, this is crazy. This is crazy. And thankfully, starting in 2010 and Senate Conservatives Fund and other things, we started changing out some of the people. But the media and the establishment and the swamp just kind of beat down that whole movement. But I think it's still churning out there, just waiting for the right time.
Yeah.